Hello beautiful people, welcome to my Wild Hearthstone channel. Today I bring you a video with the 16 decks that I've been thinking about following the release of Kobolds and Catacombs. And I want to start with the bad news, and the bad news is that I have nothing for Druid. I have no idea what I'm going to do with this class considering the cards of Kobolds and Catacombs. And that's really the bad news. So from this moment on, I guess everything is good news. So the first deck that I'm going to give a little good thought about is Death Rattle Hunter. So and the two cards that lead me to want to make this deck are Carnivorous Cube and Sipping Gusling. The idea here is to play some secrets plus Sylvanas needs, Highmanes and Zoth, Playdads and all of that good stuff. And I'll probably need also the support of some early game like Mad Scientist, the Decay to have a little bit more ammunition as the game goes on. I don't think it's going to be like a great deck, but I think it's going to be pretty fun. Also for a Hunter, and a deck that I really don't have that much expectation about, is like a big beast. And the idea for a big beast Hunter is around Katharina. So this legendary seems pretty cool. And I think it's possible to build at least a very fun deck to play, especially with the support of these three cards, which also with some secrets and the Death Knight will allow for some juicy gameplay to happen. Moving on to Mage, I'm looking forward to play Aluneth in Temple Mage decks. So pretty much all Mage decks that are based on tempo plays, aggressive decks, will probably benefit from having draw. Now it's possible that I will have to run a couple of the Kobolds, Rummaging Kobolds, I think it's the name, to get the weapon back, because I do believe that it's going to be destructed a couple of times per game. But at the same time, it does guarantee me to have some draw to these decks. And when we think about aggressive decks and tempo decks, we really have to think about Mech Mage. And I believe that Scorpomatic is a pretty good card because it can deal with things like, for instance, Doomsayer. It can eliminate like early game from Pirate Warrior. It can eliminate minions from Recruit Paladin and things like that. Another tempo-based deck for Mage, also in the more aggressive variant, is Secrets Mage, and I think that this secret is pretty good, and I will try to play it in a Secrets Mage deck. Now, one thing that I've been thinking for quite some time, and I never built any, and this is really just for giggles, is a Casino Mage. So a Casino Mage is a deck that pretty much revolves around just adding random spells to your hand. And I think that both the Deck of Wonders and the Leyline Manipulator, I believe that this is how it is said, are going to help quite a bit in having this archetype work, at least for fun. But it's not only these two cards. In fact, there are a bunch of cards from the ability of summoning random minions to revealing spells that will then clear the board, to find more spells, to have literally with the Shifting Scroll a card that is constantly changing into a spell that will be able to do pretty cool stuff with this deck. Again, very memey. It's not supposed to be competitive, but I think that it's pretty cool. Speaking of more competitive decks, Recruit Paladin is currently, by the time that I'm writing this, and as far as we know from the data that we have available, the strongest archetype in Wild. And I believe that at least one of these cards is probably be able to do something on Recruit Paladin. I'm not entirely sure if it's worth, for instance, to play Level Up, because the 5 slot is already occupied. But the Crystalline the 6 slot doesn't really matter. It matters more how many recruits, how many Silverhand recruits you have on board. Now, one card that I'm also thinking about for Recruit Paladin is Call to Arms. And here the idea is to use it more as a deck thinning card. So by taking out of the deck those last small cards, that small minions, for instance, shielded minibot. I really don't want to draw shielded minibot at some point in the mid to late game. So to thin out the deck a little bit, Call to Arms seems a pretty good option to have. Two cards that I'm really interested in, but I really don't know where I'm going to fit them, are the legendary weapon and the Linessa Samsaro. Linessa seems to be good for a quest kind of paladin, but I'm really not a big fan of the paladin quest. But I think that if we have some buffs to play, both Linessa and Valanier are cards that I want to test. I just don't know where I'm going to test them. And in the line of testing things with Paladin and considering the legendary minion, also the Shimmering Courser. Again, I think that this is a card that falls really well into an archetype that has a lot of buff cards for minions, for individual minions. Moving on to Priest, I have a priest deck, a dragon priest deck that I like a lot. It's called Greedy Dragons, and basically it's a dragon priest that has a very greedy endgame, playing Medivh and then a bunch of cards, 6, 10 cost cards, 8 cost cards to then like steamroll our opponent in the late game. So I want to try these cards. I believe that Duskbreaker is probably the best card in the whole set, at least now that we haven't tested them, and I'm looking forward to see if an identified elixir is actually any good. For Big Priest, I think that this card is really good for Big Priest. First, because Big Priest does play a lot of spells, and second, because adding resurrecting more minions is always a good thing for Big Priest. On the other hand, I really don't know which cards I would remove from the archetype and especially the deck that I built for Big Priest to be able to add this spellstone. So something to think about. Not really sure yet. I'll definitely try it, and we'll see how it goes. For my favorite deck, or at least the deck that evolved more in my hands since I started to build it, for the Reno Quest Priest that I have, I'm really looking forward to take out some of those death rattles. For instance, I'm running Dr. Boom in the deck, and the only reason why I'm running it is because I get 2 extra death rattle minions and nothing else. It's just to accelerate the getting Amara in hand. If I am able with these cards to do that in a quicker fashion, I'll be happy about it. So we'll see how this goes, and there will be a little bit of deck building put into it. The most meme deck that I will try to build is a Copy Priest. So the idea of Copy Priest is very, very simple, is to have a deck that does nothing else but to survive and draw. And then when I have 2 Mind Visions and King Togwoggle in my hand, I'm going to play the King and then Mind Vision to try to get the Ransom card back into my hand. Now, it is possible that I try to use Emmet with these 2 just to try to make things go faster. Here the idea obviously is to copy the deck of my opponent and leave him with basically no deck but we'll see. It's just a crazy idea, but I'm looking forward to at least try it. Two more serious decks again. Tempo Rogue. This is a deck I'm really looking forward to build. The idea that I have around here is sort of a oil rogue, very similar to the current Tempo Rogue that is on the top tiers at the moment. But I am going to try to have as many weapon buffs as I can, plus the Shiny Finder to get the weapon back. And then just shuffle stuff that creates 4/4 minions on my board. So both Folderay Strider and Beneath the Grounds will be in the deck, and another card that I'm considering is the Darkness. The Darkness will just add more cards to my opponent's deck. It's clearly a Reno killer, so I'm looking forward to have some success with this against Priest, but at the same time I want to build boards and have very large weapons that I can use against my opponents. Not really sure how the deck is going to work out, but I'm thinking that this might be a pretty viable deck if I'm able to balance putting minions on board, and at the same time just putting cards on my opponent's deck. A rogue deck that I've tried to build a number of times and never really had much success with it was Jade Rogue, and I will try to build a secret Jade Rogue. So the idea here, for the most part, is to build a Jade Rogue and then have the possibility with N'Zoth, Shadow Steps, Gang Ups, and also with Sonya, just try to get as many Jades going as possible. The idea of using the secrets here, for the most part, is to protect the minions that I want to replay. So for the most part, this is the objective of the secrets. And let's be honest, it's the first time that Rogue has secrets, so I really want to test them. Another couple of cards that I want to try is the Kobold Illusionist. Here the idea is to either pull Sonya or the Jade cards, namely Aya from my deck as a 1/1, which will then build a bigger N'Zoth. And also, since I'm going to play so many Death Rattle cards, trying the Spellstone to try to have some more removal and have a little bit of tempo plays with that. Something that exists a lot in WoW is support for totems in Shaman. So why not use these 3 cards to try to do something different? And here the idea really is to build a totem Shaman. I will need to go through the cards to see what other cards exist, but there are a number of them, and I will just try to make something work with these cards, although I don't have a lot of expectations about the success of this deck. One deck that I do have a lot of expectations is Control Shaman. It is one of my favorite archetypes that I try to build in numerous ways, and I played many other Control Shamans from other players, and it's a really cool deck that suffered quite a bit from Knights of the Frozen Throne. So my idea is that with these cards, especially with Carnivorous Cube and also Grumble World Shaker, it is possible to build and rebuild boards that allow for a very strong endgame. Another thing that I will try to do with Control Shaman is play these 2 cards. The idea is to use the Spellstone to have multiple Kel'Thuzad's or to have multiple White Eyes, and Healing Rain seems to be a very cheap card that can heal us quite a bit, because for the most part we don't have a board until the middle to late game. So it might be a good solution for healing for this archetype. I'm a pretty bad Warlock player, and it's the first time that I'm really excited with the Warlock. I think that there are a number of cards that can help build a stronger demon warlock, even stronger than the one that we have currently. So meanwhile, the Reno demon warlock is fairly good, but it still needs more help, and I think that these cards can help. Another card that I'm looking forward to try is Dark Pact, and Dark Pact has got one interesting characteristic, which is it can be used also with a egg warlock, which does. I think that it's possible to build quite a good aggressive warlock deck with eggs, adding this card and many others that warlock already has to like kill its own minions and things like that. Last but not least, the one that I'm most confused on how I'm going to pull this out is Control Warrior. Now, Control Warrior, I think that the future of Control Warrior is around Dead Man's Hand. I've been trying to build some decks around, for instance, N'Zoth and things like that. I have not had that much success with it, but I will keep trying to build my Control Warrior, and I think that going with the armor path, which is basically what this expansion is offering, recruit and armor, and I'm not a big fan of recruit as it is being implemented at the moment. I think that trying to have more armor is a good idea. I really like Reckless Flurry. I think it can be better than Brawl, simply because it does exhaust all of your armor, which can be very important for instance, against Reno Priest. But on the other hand, for when battling more aggressive decks, it is possible to just clear the whole board and leave them without any kind of answer with a good Reckless Flurry. So these are the ideas that I have in my head for now. And the full set is only known for a couple of hours now. But I'm looking forward to try these decks and build. Most of them are meme fun decks, but I don't mind. It's just fun. And to finish, one thing that I rarely know is what my next video is going to be, but this time I do know. So the expansion is going to be released on the 8th of December. And we have a tradition here in my house, which is when we open a bunch of packs. So in my next video, I'm going to show you the best Kobolds and Catacombs packs that I'm going to open with my family. So that's pretty cool. It is something different that I want to do, and to show you the best packs that I've opened, and like this really cool ritual that I have with my family when a new expansion is released. So I hope you like the ideas. I hope to hear from you what ideas you have, and until Friday, bye bye.